cried the sparrow.
You're listening to the Sailing into Oblivion podcast, where we sit down with everyday people who do extraordinary things. I'm your host, Jerome Rand.
Good afternoon, everybody. Wow. It's going to be a little loud today on the podcast if you're picking up the ambient sounds. The cacophony of noises that a vessel makes when it's becalmed at sea. Yes, we find ourselves... Actually, we got becalmed last night. I took all the sails down, came down below, slept like a dead man. Oh, it was one dreams, epic dreams. Just, wow, absolutely amazing. Got up, and I was kind of like, well... We got to charge the batteries. Let's go ahead and fire up the old girl and put some miles in. So we did that for about 3 hours or so, motored. Batteries still never got over 13.1, which I saw 13.2, which is interesting. So I don't know what's going on with that. The alternator is pumping out the juice. I check all the connections and stuff. Bound to have something getting a little corroded and all that sort of stuff. I'm having a Bloody Mary right now. A delicious treat. I had one last V8 juice and believe it or not, from the first leg across the Gulf of Maine, jar of pickles. So a little pickle juice in there, too. Just the only thing I'm missing is Tabasco and I guess the celery stalk, but I never really understood the celery stalk. I'm not an aficionado of these things, but this one tastes pretty darn good right now. I'm loving it. It's 9:40. We had a nice big breakfast. As interesting as this is, I'm sure for everybody. But we made hash browns out of some russet potatoes. We made eggs over easy and 4 strips of delicious bacon. And I ate it as an Englishman would, without the beans or the. Well, I guess no, it's not even close to an English breakfast. I think is eggs, a half of a tomato, bacon, and then baked beans. I can always do without the beans. Neither here nor there. Let's get to the point, bud. All right. So we are becalmed, hopefully only for a couple more hours, and the winds are going to fill in from the south. So we're gonna go hard on that wind, put up all the white sails, and see what sort of direction we can make to the southwest. And then we get a shift. I think tomorrow. More winds out of the north. It's going to be, it's funny because the first half of this is all dealing with the gale and the weather system and stuff, and now it's dealing with trying to avoid the calms of the Bermuda High. Bermuda lies just about 200 miles off the beam. I did think about pulling in there, and I was kind of like, well, I gotta. If there's even a chance I could be with some family for Thanksgiving, then I gotta at least give it a shot. We're essentially 700 miles away from our destination in Florida. I don't know. There's a chance if we don't get becalmed too much, there is a good chance that we might be able to make it in time for the 28th. I think it's the 28th this year. I think, right? Yeah. So that's kind of it's just going to be off and on winds, no winds, calms, all light stuff. I'm not seeing anything even approaching 20 knots. So the excitement is over. And I'm kind of glad. Though that was a very invigorating 2 days, it was also hyper stressful, especially in the very beginning and during the peak of that gale when the when the winds just lit the sea on fire. And I had to go out and hand steer and all that. Neither here nor there. The one thing I am kind of thinking of, though, is why I'm puzzling. Riddle me this. Why? Why would you do that? Why turn and burn so early? I talked a lot about the fact that I wasn't going to make the same mistake and all that sort of stuff. And the whole idea of seamanship, making the good judgment calls and doing the prudent thing. If I'm going to be honest, and I look back at, because I was looking at some of the videos when I was Hove 2, and I'm up there talking about, I'm going to be Hove 2 for at least 24 hours, and then I might be able to run with it, and that way, the original game plan was to stay there until I was going to be on the very tail end of this thing, and then go, so that by the time I reached the Gulf Stream, which is always a very questionable area, the gale would have no longer been. It would have been 20 to 25 knots, and still kind of going in the right direction, but dying off very rapidly. And then, I should have been even more cautious than that and just waited until it literally was almost dead, like it is right now, and cross the stream in, 0 knots of wind. That would have been very, very safe. So I don't know. I'm kind of thinking like I'm a bonehead. I don't know why I made that decision. I remember looking at the forecast and thinking to myself, maybe I can stay in front of it. It did, although I will say, when I looked at the forecast, the areas where it hit 35 knots were very patchy. They were kind of all over the place. And I would have probably been in that same wind condition up there. And being Hove 2 in that would have just been awful. Oh, I wouldn't have done it. I would have been like, no way am I sitting in here doing this. Like, let's go. Let's go. And I don't know. Who knows? Maybe it would have been one of those things where then when I really hit it, I would have actually been in the stream when it really cranked up, when I was already well past it. So I don't know. Those are the what ifs, and you know me. I don't like playing the what if game because I don't think it really helps all that much. But yeah, I don't know. It just is one of those decisions. Weird. I mean, I was so sure of myself going into this game plan, and then I don't know, something deep down inside of me was like, dude, let's go for it. I wrote it in the logbook, turn and burn. And I don't know, when I think about it deep down inside, I think maybe there has been a part of me that really had unfinished business since 2022. Really did. Deep down inside to me, call it the ego, call it whatever you want. But the ocean kicked the crap out of me, and I think I've been living with that for a long time and never getting back in the fight. Sure, I've sailed the boat, and Sparrow and I have done a lot of thousands of miles since that trip, but we never really encountered anything anywhere close to that November gale. And I don't know. I think it's pretty natural for one to question their abilities and their beliefs about, who they are and what sort of grit they have, I guess. And I don't know. I think I've been living with that doubt for a long time, and it's just been eating away at my soul. And I've just been, filling the void with lots of just working and trying to do all this other stuff, which has been great for sure. But yeah, I think there was something eating away. Because I got to tell you, since yesterday, I have just felt a bit light, a bit. I don't know. It's like the colors are a little brighter, and it's kind of like when you have a huge crush when you're younger, or you fall in love, or no, you do the you get the first kiss on that first date or whatever, and literally you just feel like you could float, and yeah, that's kind of how I felt yesterday. I still to some extent feel today. It just is like a lot of times I would be like, I'm becalmed, man. I'm just like, wow, it's so beautiful out there. The ocean is so flat. It's still rolling because these swell are going to stick around for another couple of days. But yeah, everything's just a little brighter. And I chalk that up to having a really, really scary experience. The whole idea of like, you almost get into a bad car wreck or something, your life flashes before your eyes. I didn't really get to that point. I did plenty of times murmur to myself, well, if this is it, this is a good way to go out. But I don't think there was never a point where I was like, oh my gosh, I'm in serious trouble. A few of those waves definitely gave me the chills. That's for sure. That one Instagram post I put up, I keep watching that video. That is nightmare fuel. It's because the thing is, that video doesn't show, it gives you no perspective on how large those waves are and how powerful they are. Because, geez, when it hit, it surged this boat forward. I wish I would have been able to see my max speed. Yeah. So I don't know. I'm chalking it up to I had a dragon to slay, and I didn't know it at the time, but I made decisions to do it. Now I will say, caveat here. The ocean and heavy weather like that is not to be toyed with by any means. It is not safe. It is not a good decision. It should be avoided at all costs. For anybody that sees this stuff or listens to this and wants to go out and experience it themselves, be careful what you wish for, because when the intensity level gets up, it definitely cuts you down to the core, makes you know exactly your place out here on the ocean, which is a teeny little boat. What's that? The ocean is so big and my boat is so small. So yeah, just be careful, be cautious. It's not, it's definitely nothing to be trifled with. Because remember, I hadn't planning on calling any Coast Guard. I have the EPIRB. The EPIRB's for when I have guests aboard the Mighty Sparrow and I'm in charge of someone else's life. I definitely take it very seriously that if I'm going to do these dangerous things and put myself in this position, without question, I would never ask for anybody's help. I mean, I'm not saying like, oh, dude, I'm just going to go down with the ship. I'm not an idiot. Or no, I shouldn't say that. That's that old tradition, I think, is, I don't know. It has some validity, I think. But neither here nor there. The idea of putting somebody else in danger, like calling the Coast Guard and having them ramp up a helicopter, which is dangerous, and come out and get me. Dangerous, and there's no reason that they should have to do that. Now, hopefully, this is just a theory. My convictions are pretty strong on this one, but you never know until the time comes. Hopefully, we never have to figure that one out, and I can just go on my word. That being said, I would get in my life raft, and I would probably try and get rescued out here at sea by some ship that was lumbering past. Now, I don't think that puts anybody in danger. If you're in a life raft and you're able to signal a ship to come and get you, I think that's great. And maybe even then, it's sort of like blast off. The only thing about blasting off the EPIRB is that if people actually have to hop in a helicopter and come out here, because if they're already out here on a ship and they just have to pull up next to you and put the little rope ladder down and you just climb up that thing, then that's not a real big deal. So, I don't know. I don't know. It's such a morbid subject. All of a sudden, it's taking a turn. Let's try and cheer up, man. We made it. We made it through. But yeah, odd things going bouncing around in my head. I'm sure I'll be thinking this one out for quite some time. But yeah, wow. So it is sunny out. It's beautiful. I'm in my boxer shorts. That's it. I'm back to my my open ocean wardrobe, and yeah, it's freaking awesome out. Did some push-ups. Already started the routine. Thank goodness. Obviously, wasn't doing that during the gale, but I'm sure just trying to hold my self in place was a pretty good workout. I do have some bruises and all that sort of stuff, but yeah, we're looking pretty good. I'm just gonna kind of enjoy the day. I'm gonna do a little reading, did some cleaning. We had a big breakfast, like I said, and yeah, downloaded the weather, chatting with some people. I'll tell you the Starlink thing. It's not bad. It's not bad at all. For doing the morning check-in with the fam, that's great. And then, it's already up and running, so a quick download of the weather. Why not? So you're getting weather basically every day now instead of every 4 days. And yeah, I mean, I've managed to stay off of the old social media outside of putting out that post, and maybe I'll I don't know. It's kind of one of those things where it's like, yeah, I might as well just upload a quick little something if you think it's worthwhile, but not actually basically looking at any content, because I don't want. The last thing I want is to be, caught up in my phone while I'm out here in this beautiful place. I mean, it is absolutely spectacular. This morning, I got up and the stars were so bright and so brilliant. Jupiter just kicking it. Oh my gosh. And Orion is up there and everything. Wow. And it does remind me, I have not forgotten my idea of the special segment, which is the Know Your Constellation. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I saw Leo last night, and I think Leo might be the one we start with, or probably going to just start with a little overview of the sky kind of thing. I kind of treat it like an extended version of the old celestial presentation that I used to do. That was a lot of fun, man. I think the most audience we had was 54 people one time, and we were on Corinthian, this big double-decker power cat. We used to motor out behind Prickly Pear and then just turn the engines off, turn all the lights off, and just boom, me, a laser pointer, and a whole bunch of people. Oh, that was a blast. Wow. Well, I'm gonna probably go do a little walk around. Obviously, we had to do some fixing, install some new grommets. I had to adjust Mongo. I'll tell you, that was one thing I don't think I mentioned. Oh no, I think I did. Yeah, the brass thing coming off. Had I not seen that, and that thing came off, I would have been stuck up there hand steering until I don't know when. Yeah, that was a weak point. Holy cow. That it just goes to show you gotta stay diligent. You gotta constantly be looking at everything, looking for weakness, because boy, the ocean just finds them, exploits them, and then there's that whole idea of the snowball effect, man. Except for these snowballs, when they turn into an avalanche, you sink. So super gotta be on the tippy toes. So I'm gonna do a big old check around the boat and really get into it. I also want to look at the bulkheads because I don't think I cracked the tabbing off, but basically where the bulkheads, which are, you can kind of think of them as walls or beams in a boat, if you will. They structurally shore the vessel up, but where they come in contact with the hull, which is fiberglass, there is what's called tabbing, which is basically fiberglass connecting up the bulkhead to the hull. Long story short, I've cracked those. They cracked free and I had to do repairs on those after 2022. I also had to do repairs on it after 2021, and going through Tropical Storm Wanda, which, thinking about it, Tropical Storm Wanda didn't hold a candle to that, which is crazy. Although I will say it was in the middle of the night. We were nowhere near any currents, and we just hove to, and that was some of the loudest wind I think I've ever dealt with. And I was just down below, trying to sleep on the cabin sole, fully geared up. Had a Jack Daniels and Coke, and managed to fall asleep until we went through the eye, and that woke me up. So that was, wow, yeah. Boy, the adventures we've had on this old boat. Isn't that crazy? Isn't it crazy? All right, so we'll tag this on with another one, and I'll be right back. Oh boy, here we go again. Yeah. Just had to jibe the boat. Basically, an excessively long jibe, going from hard on the wind on the old port tack to hard on the wind on the starboard tack. Sometimes it's just easier, but there was also the dousing of the jib that needed to happen. Oh, and it's hot now. Wow, the south wind. I'm peeling layers left and right, people. Get out your cameras. Pasty white guy. Yeah, so just did that. I was asleep a few minutes ago, and I just kind of kept somehow in my dream feeling the boat pounding, and it got more and more aggressive because we were hauling the mail. And then I kind of realized, I was like, this isn't, I got to check this out. What's going on here? It wasn't brutal by any means, but it was kind of loud and enough of a wake up that I was like, something just ain't right. And checked to see where, and we were headed to the north, to the northwest. So there you go. We had a little bit of a wind shift, probably, I don't know, 60 degrees or something like that. And yeah, that happens with the wind vane. It's just one of the unfortunate drawbacks. But if you're paying attention to the feel of the boat, even if you're asleep, then you're able to actually sense that there's a problem that needs your attention. And either that or it just woke me up because it was loud. Let's not pat ourselves on the back too much out here. Yeah, but now it's at least we dropped the jib, did it without getting splashed, which is great. Essentially peel way off, so I'm on like a deep beam reach, aka also known as a broad reach, and then no more splashy, and I can douse that because remember, I don't use a furling unit on this boat. We're old school, baby. It's all Hank-ons or nothing for old J-Rome, which necessitates me getting completely soaked quite often. And it's really not fun when it's raining and a squall is blasting you out of the blue and you got to go take a drifter down. That, my friends, is a mission, let me tell you. But it's not too bad. You can do it pretty quick. But what I'm hoping is that as we're headed basically southeast, and the winds are going to shift, I think tomorrow, some point out of, let's check it out. Well, I got my handy dandy iPad weather machine. Forecaster Fred over here. Yeah, boy, I'm looking at that. I'm looking at our track was like looping. Yeah, we're going to have the shift somewhere around 8 p.m. tomorrow. Maybe a little later, depending on how far I get. So, not bad. Oh, and actually, so we're in that right now. Okay. Yeah, it'll lighten up a little bit, but that's okay. Once we get that shift, we're going to turn and burn again. It's only going to be blowing 15, but we're gonna throw up some big sail and try and take advantage of that. We get about 24 hours of northerly winds, and we got to use them to get 100. I'm gonna try for 150 miles if I can. That'll put us getting closer to striking distance, which would be awesome. And then our weather gets a little wonky, and we have more of what we're doing now, which is southwesterly, which is all right. If I have to just keep going south until I find my trades, hey, that's the way to do it. And yeah, hopefully, I don't know. I don't know if I'm gonna make it in time for Thanksgiving. It's slowly turning into an episode of Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, except it's been planes, buses, and boats, and we're just trying to get down there. So we shall see. But right now, it's time for a new segment called Know Your Constellations. Tonight, I bring you one of the most famous, most recognizable of all constellations, plus a bonus star. This is kind of how I used to start this whole thing off way back in the day, and I think it behooves me to do it this way right now. Now, in the Northern Hemisphere, one of the cool things is we have the North Star, Polaris. Basically, it's directly, almost perfectly above the North Pole on our Earth. So if you're standing at the North Pole and you look straight over your head, you'd see Polaris. Now, I'm not throwing shade on the Southern Hemisphere. They got their Southern Cross. That's great. Polaris is like a whole different. It's like a pinpoint, a pinwheel, if you will, where our entire sky seemingly rotates around Polaris. Now, in conjunction with Polaris is the Big Dipper. And most everybody, I think, who's ever been able to see the stars outside of the giant metropolitan cities that we have that bleed light into the sky to the point where you can't even see this stuff. Essentially, that constellation looks like a big saucepan or a big ladle, or as our English cousins call it, the plow. It kind of looks like a plow for churning the dirt in a field. And essentially, if you take the last two stars in the end of the actual saucepan, so not the handle, because there's 3 stars that make up the handle, and then there are 4 stars that make up the ladle or the pan. Well, you take the last 2 in the pan, you kind of connect those up, and they point towards a decently bright, lonely old star up there, and that is Polaris. So if you're ever lost in the woods and you can still get out and see the stars, and you're in the Northern Hemisphere and you don't even know what direction is up, well, guess what? You now have a code to find north because, depending on where you are, let's say you're up near where I live, up in Michigan, we sit just north of the 45th parallel. So Polaris in our night sky, get this, 45 degrees up in the sky. So it's also a great indicator of your latitude. I don't know if it precisely works, but it should. Oh my gosh. I think I'm going to have to crack off because now we are pounding. I don't know if you can hear that. I can definitely feel it. I don't want to pound Sparrow into Oblivion tonight. But I want to make miles. But I don't want to pound because, you know what? Sparrow deserves better than that. All right. To be continued. Let me just go crack off the wind here. Just one sec. Oh, my gosh. All right. And we are back. Jeez Louise. Winds shifted a little bit more, so all of a sudden we were going straight into these things again. And though we were headed due south, it's no bueno. Not pounding. It's not worth it. Oh, my gosh. Again, still? Jeez Louise.
Stupid waves.
Boy, this new segment's sort of falling apart. Well, let's get back on track then. Now, one of the other cool things about the Big Dipper and Polaris and everything else is it lies, at least the Big Dipper does, in the big constellation, one of the third, I think it's the third largest constellation in the sky, which is Ursa Major, the bear. And essentially they think that at least the 7 stars of the Big Dipper have literally been recognized as a constellation since like Babylonian times. So a couple thousand BC, that's pretty cool. So it is definitely a recognizable little thing. There's a bunch of different histories that go along with the actual bear part of this constellation that I think are a little too broad to really nail down. Some of the other ones that have like the Greek mythology are really cool, and the stories are pretty concise and stuff. So I think we're gonna leave that one alone for tonight. But I do want to mention though, one of the other neat things in this constellation is if you look at the handle of the Big Dipper, the middle one, the little hump. Because it's got kind of a kink in it. That one's called Mizar. And Mizar is actually a binary, and it's one of the most famed stars, second magnitude, 78 light years away. And it's the Zeta star of Ursa Major. I think that means... What does that mean? Something about how bright it is with all of it. But, yeah... It's Mizar and what's the other one? Alcor. So you're actually seeing a binary, and these two are rotating around each other. They're only about 11 arc minutes, or minutes of arc, and they're termed the horse and rider by the Arabians. Whoa, that's pretty dope. I did not know that one. So there you go, people. That's the new segment. You got yourself a cool constellation, the Big Dipper, the Plow. It's also in a bigger one called Ursa Major, the bear. And now you can utilize that to find the North Star, a.k.a. Polaris. And I mean, wow. Did you know all that before? Maybe you did. Maybe you didn't. Either way, you sure do now. And just because I am a numbers guy, and I love my numbers. Polaris is, come on, where is it? 430 light years away. Woo! That sucker is out there, bro. Way out there. And it's 2,500 times more luminous than our sun. But because it's so darn far away, some people have trouble even finding it. All right, that's our segment. I'm sticking to it. I like it. Feel free to comment and say, that's terrible, don't ever do that again. Or feed me more. I liked it. I liked it a lot. Speaking of feeding more, I had a tasty treat tonight that I had forgotten was in the fridge. It was a gift from Luce up there on the old Cape, and it was amazing. It felt like I was kind of like summer camp. Found this little package of goodies, and I had some crackers in a box, and then I had wicked good crab meat dip. And when they say wicked good, they mean it, because this stuff was really good. It's Donovan's recipe, and I will tell you, it went down pretty quick. Did not last, and not just because I don't like to open things like shrimp or crab or whatever and not eat them all in one day, but it was that tasty. So thank you, Luce. I really appreciate it. That was a tasty treat that I needed more than anything tonight. Sometimes you just find those things and you're like, yes. Although, however, I will say a bit in the doghouse, because Everybody knows I don't like sweets. I mean, I like them. I love them. I want them all the time. But I'm an old man, and I can't eat those things without all the repercussions that go along with copious amounts of sugar, chocolate, or ice cream, or all that stuff. I had my fill. I reached my quota long ago, and I tried desperately not to eat that stuff anymore. Well, life was going just fine. You know, after you don't eat stuff, like if you haven't had ice cream in like 10 years or whatever, you kind of forget what you're missing in a lot of ways. And so it's fine. You don't even think about it. It's no craving. You're not like, well, man, I'd kill for some ice cream. You're sort of like, well, whatever. I had no idea these little graham crackers coated with chocolate even existed. I was oblivious to the idea of this, and I had, obviously I've had s'mores in my day, but these are like prepackaged, pre-made things. It's very reminiscent of the first time I had a Jaffa cake over in England, and that was delicious. I was a lot younger then, so I dove right into those. But that being said, now I for at least a while, I'm going to be like, man, those chocolate covered homemade graham cracker things. What? So, bone to pick with you on that one, Luce. All right, good night, everybody. Thanks for listening. And, this is, what day is it today? November 19th? It is, 19th of November. There we go. Awesome. The updates keep coming. Thanks for listening.